Okay, here's what I want in this assignment here. It's absolute value. The assignment on this is really easy. I don't want you doing this one here. It's an idiotic problem, and it's useless, okay? What I need you to do, though, since it's so easy, I need you to be with me on all the examples. So when you turn your thing in, there better not be any examples not done, except the ones in the video that I say not to do. Okay, it's simple as that. Which, I will not be doing this one or this one. I will be doing these two. Okay. Alright, now, first off, what are those brackets surrounding these numbers called? They're not parentheses. They're called absolute value. Okay? And you need to know what that means. All it means is distance. This is like middle school concept here. Distance from 0 on a number line. So use some common sense here. Don't draw this number line. I'm going to just to show you. Okay, you're not going to be drawing number lines here. And absolute value is 6. What's that mean is how many slots do I have to go from 6 to get to 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. How many slots do you have to count from -6 to 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yep. Okay. So they're both equal to 6. Didn't matter if it was negative or positive. You have to move the same distance. Okay. What's the absolute value's lowest possible value? Okay. So absolute value of 3 is 3. 2, 1, 0. Now the answer to that is not -1. It's 1 slot from 0. 2 slots, 3 slots. So I think that's your lowest it can ever get is 0. Okay, out of all these answers I got. Now, here's what I'm going to ask you here. The absolute value of x equals 10. What possible values could the variable be to be 10 slots from 0? There's two places on a number line you can be 10 from 0. You can be at 10, and you can be at -10. Okay. Alright, now we're going to solve some equations here for x. An absolute value is always going to have two answers. Okay. I know you're like, well, there's no second power. Why does it have two answers? Because you remember at the end of last year, you had to look at the highest exponent and do all that factoring crap. Well, which we do in here, but not yet. Okay. We're not to that yet. Alright, so what I like to do here is make kind of a table. And make two separate equations. Now, what's inside that absolute? First off, are we clear outside the absolute value? I think we are. Okay, we're clear. That means we don't have a number outside or outside. Yeah, 5's outside, but that's on the other side of the variable, so I don't care about that. So now, if you're clear outside these brackets and there's nothing there, we know that what's inside the absolute value, well, it's x, okay? Whatever's the expression inside, put that on the left on both sides. And now, where are the two places you can have an absolute value of 5? Well, you can be at +5 or you can be at -5. And those are my two answers, okay? X equals 5, x is -5. Pretty good. Okay, now the next one's a little bit more. It's not very hard, but yeah. The absolute value of 5 times x, that's what 5x means, equals 20. You got to find the two values that x is. Now, there's no number here, and there's no number outside here. That's going to change on the next page, but for now. So, what's the expression you have in your absolute value? 5x. So, put 5x on both of those. And where are the two places you can have an absolute value of 20? Well, you can be at 20 or -20. Alright, so all you have to do is divide by 5. You don't have to undo adding or subtracting. Just divide by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So there's one answer. -20 divided by 5 is -4. Now, they're not always opposite integers. I can tell you that. These two happen. Okay. All right, and I don't really like how I'm explaining this. I'm going to kind of change this up a little bit. So there's two answers. Let's set up two equations to work from. Okay, the outside of the absolute value is clear. We don't have a number in front. We don't have a number behind. Okay, the absolute value is equal to 7. Now, where are the two places you can be 7 from 0? You can be at 7 or negative 7. And now put the expression inside of the absolute value on each side, on the equation, on each equation on the left side. You put a 1 there, circle it. You got to undo the plus 3. So 1x is equal to 4, and you don't need to divide by 1, so 4 is one answer. Then minus 3, 1x equals negative 10. Again, we know we don't have to divide by 1, so that one did not end up as opposite integers. Okay, so you got to do your math. You can't just take the easy route. Okay, next one. The outside of the absolute value is clear. There's no number here in front of it. There's no number here behind it. This was kind of weird. Where are the two places you can be negative 6 slots from 0? Or let me ask you this. Does that even make sense to be negative 6 slots from 0? I don't think it does. This is an NS. If your absolute value, whatever's inside, if that's equal to a negative, it's no solution. Okay, remember our little agreement here. You need to be with me on these two. There's two answers we're looking for. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, so I'm going to put 15 and negative 15. No, you're not, because you don't know what the absolute value is equal to, because there's a 3 here. That's why I kept asking, is the outside of the absolute value clear of any numbers? And this one's not, because you got a 3. Now, if the 3's in front, you want to put a dot. And no, you don't use the distributive rainbows. It's not a parentheses. I have a lot of people who've tried that in the past. It doesn't work. They'll go, oh yeah, 6x plus 3, and because they'll do the rainbows, and then they'll put 6x plus 3 equals 15, 6x plus 3 equals negative 15. No, so I'm going to write, can't use the DP rainbows. Okay, that's not a parentheses. What you need to do is the opposite of multiplying to get rid of that 3. So what's the opposite? Probably dividing. So divide by 3 to cancel, and divide the other side by 3. So I think that's equal to 5, and then I have my absolute value at 2x plus 1. So we're going to keep 2x plus 1 there. And where are the two places that you can be 5 from 0? You can be 5 or negative 5. Okay? So again, circle that. We got a minus 1. 2x equals 4, and then we need to divide by 2, and that's 2. So 2x equals negative 6, divide by 2, negative 3. Okay, so for some of you people who like to check your answer, I would go with this right here. Okay. Or actually, we can go with the, just go with this one. Okay, so 2x, so 2, replace the x with parentheses and put your first solution in, and then plus 1. So 5, but what's the absolute value of 5? It's 5, so that makes sense. So put negative 3 in, 2. Okay, now I know it's negative 5, but if negative 5 is in an absolute value, how many slots is negative 5 from 0? That's also 5, so those two answers make sense for my x. Okay, my next problem. All right, so do we know what the absolute value is equal to? No, because you have a 4 here and a plus 2 here. We need to use inverse operations to get rid of those, okay? So the 4 is a dot, and the 2 is being added. Now, which one do you go after first, the 4 times or the plus 2? Well, let's do the inverse of plus 2. You want to do the inverse of this number here, the adding or subtracting, before you divide. Here we didn't have to because there was no adding or subtracting number here. Okay, so I'm going to minus 2, minus 2. So I've got 4 dot times the absolute value of 3x minus 2 equals 16. Okay, now what's the opposite of times 4? Divide by 4. So I have the absolute value of 3x minus 2, and this is 4. So the absolute value is equal to 4. So 4 and negative 4. And then we can use our expression 3x minus 2 to solve the rest of the problem. Okay, so circle that. So plus 2, 3x equals 6. Divide by 3, and x is 2. Plus 2, 3x equals negative 2. Divide by 3. Okay, so negative 2 divided by 3. Okay, it's a non-terminating decimal, so I'm just going to circle that. Alright, so you have 3 problems, and actually on these 3, the outside of the absolute value brackets are clear. So you go 3x equals 18, 3x equals negative 18. X minus 3 equals 9, x minus 3 equals negative 9. Okay, this one right here, you might want to think about that. Where are the 2 places you can be negative 1 from 0? It's kind of a weird sounding question.